Okay, let's deep dive into something pretty significant happening in U.S. trade policy. We're looking at excerpts from a piece called Court Blocks Trump Tariffs.
Right.
And our mission here is really to unpack what this federal court ruling means, why it happened, and, what the impact is, both immediate and maybe down the line for you, all based on this source material.
Yeah, and what's fascinating, I think, is how this specific legal challenge sort of opens up these bigger questions about executive power, international economics. The source gives us a really good framework.
Absolutely. So the main event, a federal court in Manhattan has blocked nearly all the tariffs enacted under that International Economic Emergency Declaration. And the source highlights this was a unanimous ruling. That feels important, doesn't it?
It really does. Unanimity adds weight. And if we look at the why, the court, specifically the U.S. Court of International Trade, basically said the administration went too far.
Too far under which power?
Under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEPA. The court's view, reading the source, is pretty clear. Trade deficits, they just don't qualify as a national emergency under that specific law.
Okay, so a specific interpretation of IEPA.
Exactly. And the source points out the panel was, bipartisan judges appointed by Reagan, Obama, Trump, which is also quite telling.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So which specific tariffs are we talking about here? Which ones did the ruling actually hit, according to the source?
Well, based on the piece, it covers quite a few. Tariffs on Canada, Mexico, China, some of those imposed right at the start of the administration.
Okay.
And also those Liberation Day tariffs. Remember, those announced April 2nd with levies from 10% up to 50%.
Right. And the stated goal for those, the source reminds us, was about jobs and rebalancing trade, correct?
That was the argument mentioned, yeah. Bringing jobs back, fixing trade imbalances.
Got it. Okay, so the ruling comes down. How did the markets react? They often give us a quick pulse check.
They reacted fast and positively. The source notes after-hours trading saw the Dow jump 1.1%, S&P 500 up 1.5%.
Wow.
And the NASDAQ even more. So, quite a clear thumbs up, it seems.
Okay, and does the source give a sense of why investors felt relieved?
Yeah, the article suggests it's because this rolls back a policy that, had faced criticism, for potentially raising consumer costs and disrupting global trade supply chains, that sort of thing.
Makes sense.
But the source is careful to clarify. The tariffs are suspended, unenforceable for now. It's a legal pause, not necessarily permanent.
A legal pause. Okay, that's a key distinction. So it's paused. What's likely next? Appeal.
That's the general expectation highlighted in the source, yes.
Yeah.
The White House is expected to appeal. That will likely go to the Federal Circuit Court first.
And maybe even the Supreme Court eventually.
Potentially, yeah. It could climb that high.
So, stepping back from the immediate legal fight, what are the bigger picture implications here? What does this ruling mean for, say, the balance of power or international relations?
Well, the source suggests this could be pretty significant. It might help redefine that line between the president's power and Congress's power.
How so?
The court really emphasized that the Constitution gives Congress the power over tariffs. The core idea is that emergency powers like IEPA aren't supposed to be a workaround for that.
I see. So it's reinforcing Congress's role in trade.
Exactly. And if this ruling holds up, the piece suggests it could limit how future presidents use emergency declarations. Not just for trade, maybe for other foreign policy or economic issues, too.
Any other ripples mentioned?
Yes, there's a note about legal experts, quoted in the source, warning about potential compensation claims. Countries affected by these tariffs, now ruled invalid, might try to seek damages.
Okay, that's another angle. So let's bring it back to you listening. Why does understanding this matter? I mean, it seems this ruling is a pretty pivotal moment for U.S. trade law, maybe even international economic diplomacy. It affects markets, trade relationships, that balance of power we talked about, all things that can trickle down to consumer cost, foreign relations, you name it.
Absolutely. And thinking about that strong market reaction we discussed, what does this decision and the market's relief maybe tell us about the perceived link between using tariffs under emergency powers and overall economic stability? It leaves you wondering, right?